Pawn Stars boss Rick Harrison offers $50,000 for a nickel, but the seller wasn't impressed. Rick Harrison, the sharp-talking owner of the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas, and star of the hit reality show Pawn Stars, is no stranger to high-stakes deals. Known for his shrewd business sense and ability to spot rare treasures among everyday items, Rick has bought everything from antique swords to celebrity memorabilia. But one particular episode stands out not just because of the item itself, but because of the staggering amount of money he was willing to pay for something so small and seemingly insignificant: a single nickel. It all started when a man walked into the pawn shop with a weathered leather case tucked under his arm. He wasn't flashy or dramatic like some of the other customers who come in hoping to strike gold. Instead, he looked like an average buy, someone who might have stumbled upon something valuable while cleaning out a relative's attic or going through old coin collections passed down through generations. What he pulled out of that case, however, would soon capture the attention of everyone in the store and eventually millions of viewers at home. Inside the case was a 1913 Liberty head nickel. To the untrained eye, it might have looked like any other old coin. But to Rick Harrison and his team, including his father Richard, son Corey, and longtime employee Austin "Chumley" Russell, this was no ordinary 5-cent piece. In fact, it was one of the most coveted and mysterious coins in American numismatic history. The story behind the 1913 Liberty head nickel is as fascinating as the coin itself. Officially, the U.S. Mint stopped producing the Liberty head nickel design in 1912, replacing it with the Buffalo nickel. However, 5 known examples of the 1913 Liberty head nickel mysteriously appeared on the market several years later. No official records exist explaining how or why these coins were struck, which only added to their intrigue. Some theories suggest that rogue mint workers secretly produced them to sell to collectors, while others believe they were test strikes that somehow slipped past authorities. Whatever the truth, the result is that these 5 nickels are now considered some of the rarest and most valuable coins in the world. Over the years, they've changed hands for astronomical sums. One example sold at auction for over $4.5 million in 2018, cementing its place among the most expensive coins ever sold. So when Rick saw the coin in front of him, he knew immediately what he was dealing with. He carefully examined it, checking the details the Liberty had on the obverse, the Roman numeral V on the reverse, the date 1913, and confirmed that it matched the known characteristics of the legendary coins. Then came the moment everyone in the shop, and watching at home, had been waiting for: the offer. Rick didn't beat around the bush. He looked the seller in the eye and said, "I'll give you $50,000 for this nickel." $50,000 for a single 5-cent coin. It was a huge offer, more than enough to make most people say yes without hesitation. But the seller, surprisingly, wasn't impressed. He shook his head. "I know what this is worth," he said calmly. The room fell silent for a moment. Chumley raised his eyebrows. Corey looked stunned. Even Richard, who rarely gets emotional these days, leaned forward slightly in his chair. Rick, unfazed, replied, "Look, I'm not trying to rip you off. I know this is a big deal, but I also know there are only 5 of these in existence, and I can't guarantee how much more you'd get if you tried to sell it somewhere else. You could go to a dealer, sure, but they're going to want to make a profit too. They'll probably offer you less than what I'm giving you right now." But the seller stood firm. "I appreciate the offer," he said, "but I think I'll hold on to it for now. Maybe do some research. Talk to some experts." Rick nodded slowly. He respected the decision, even though he clearly believed he had made a fair, generous offer. As the man packed up the coin and left the shop, the cameras followed him out. There was a certain weight to the moment, a sense that history had just passed through the doors of the gold and silver pawn shop once again. Back inside, the team regrouped. Well, Chumley said, shaking his head, "That's the first time I've seen someone turn down 50 grand for a nickel." Corey chuckled. "That's got to be a record." Richard, always the voice of experience, simply muttered, "People don't realize what they've got sometimes. Or maybe they do, and they're just holding out for more." Rick leaned back against the counter, arms crossed. You know what he said. "I respect him. He knows what he has, and he's not afraid to walk away. That takes guts." What happened next? Did the seller find another buyer willing to pay more? Did he eventually come back to Rick with a change of heart? No one knows for sure, but the incident became an Pawn Stars universe a reminder that sometimes treasure comes in the smallest packages, and that even a seasoned pro like Rick Harrison can be outmaneuvered by someone who truly understands the value of what they hold. The story of the 1913 Liberty head nickel continues to fascinate collectors, historians, and casual fans alike. Each of the 5 known coins has its own unique provenance and journey through time. Some have been owned by kings and celebrities. Others have been lost and found, stolen and recovered. Their legacy is secure in the annals of numismatic lore. And for Rick Harrison, the encounter served as a humbling yet inspiring moment. It reminded him that in the world of rare collectibles and high-value items, knowledge, patience, and confidence can be just as valuable as the items themselves. The allure of rare coins like the 1913 Liberty head nickel isn't limited to hardcore numismatists. For many Americans, coins represent more than just currency. They're pieces of history, tangible links to the past. Each coin tells a story about the era in which it was minted, the people who handled it, and the events it may have witnessed. In recent years, interest in rare coins has surged, fueled in part by shows like Pawn Stars that bring numismatics into mainstream pop culture. Suddenly, coins weren't just boring things you found in your pocket change, they were potentially life-changing assets. People began digging through old cigar boxes, family heirlooms, and forgotten drawers in search of hidden treasures. This phenomenon has led to real-world discoveries. In 2018, a Florida man found a rare 1943 Lincoln penny made of bronze instead of the usual zinc-coated steel worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in a donated bag of coins. Another woman discovered a rare 1914 Lincoln cent in her late grandmother's jewelry box, which sold for over $70,000. These stories fuel the dream that anyone, anywhere, could stumble upon something extraordinary. At first glance, $50,000 seems like an incredibly high price to pay for a single nickel, especially considering that most modern nickels are worth exactly 5 cents. But in the context of numismatics, Rick's offer makes perfect sense. First, let's consider the rarity. As mentioned earlier, only 5 1913 Liberty head nickels are known to exist. That means the supply is fixed and extremely limited. When demand is high, as it often is for ultra-rare coins, the value skyrockets. Second, the condition of the coin matters immensely. Coins are graded on a scale ranging from poor to perfect mint state. Even a slight difference in grade can mean a massive difference in price. A low-grade 1913 Liberty head nickel might sell for a few $100,000, while a high-grade example could fetch millions. If Rick believed the coin in question was in decent shape, say, a mid-range grade, he would have known he could resell it to a collector or a dealer for significantly more than $50,000. His offer was likely a conservative starting point, meant to entice the seller into a quick deal. Third, Rick's reputation as a fair dealer plays a major role in transactions like these. Sellers know that if they bring something legitimate to the gold and silver pawn shop, they won't be taken advantage of. That trust is invaluable in a world where fraud and misrepresentation can run rampant. The seller clearly understood the significance of the coin he possessed. Whether he learned about it online, from a friend, or through personal study, that knowledge gave him the confidence to reject an impressive offer and seek out better opportunities. Items like rare coins remind us that history isn't just something we read about, it's something we can touch, own, and preserve. Every artifact has a story, and sometimes those stories are worth millions. Rick offered $50,000, which is more than most people earn in a year. But the seller wasn't swayed by the immediate payout. He held out for what he believed was fair compensation. In business and in life, that kind of conviction can lead to greater rewards. Rick Harrison has decades of experience in buying and selling rare items. Yet even he was caught off guard by the seller's refusal. It goes to show that no matter how much you know, there's always something new to learn. The story of Rick Harrison offering $50,000 for a nickel that turned out to be one of the rarest coins in American history is the kind of tale that defines Pawn Stars. It combines mystery, history, human drama, and high stakes, all centered around a tiny piece of metal. While the seller ultimately chose not to accept Rick's offer, the encounter remains a testament to the unpredictable nature of the pawn business. Every day brings new surprises, new challenges, and new opportunities. And sometimes those opportunities come in the form of a simple nickel from 1913. Whether the coin eventually sells for